Checking back from last week's Mystery Hopper, we can now reveal that the brewery was Loose Cannon. We're going to be joined here with Alex and Faram's Jon to go into our 5 minutes with Faram. Okay then, brilliant. So if we could just start with you introducing yourself and where we are today.
Right, well, hello, I'm Alex Scott. I'm the head brewer at Loose Cannon here in Abingdon. Been here since 2017.
Oh,
Wow.
Feels like that was yesterday, but it's actually not.
Well, this is true. It's what the pandemic does, though. You know, you have that sort of hiccup.
Yeah.
2020, but
so much stuff has happened in that time.
Absolutely. Worked all the way through it, though.
Really?
4 of us,
wow, amazing.
Supplying the beery needs of the population of Abingdon.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Beer as well.
Oh, yes.
Thirsty so-and-so.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so to get started with our 5 minutes with Faram, I'm just going to ask you some questions and we'll get straight into it. So, what's your favourite hop?
My favourite hop, and that's a tricky one because they're all delicious.
Good answer.
Well, they're all delicious apart from one, but I'm not going to mention that one. I like Cascade and I like Simcoe.
Any reason behind those specifically?
I find Cascade gives a nice sort of dried fruit sort of flavour, especially it's the main aroma hop that we use in Abingdon Bridge, which is our biggest selling beer.
Yeah.
And Simcoe I like because of the sort of grapefruity, citrusy, tropical hit you get from it. And again, we use that in one of our popular seasonal beers, Recoil. And because Recoil's brewed with 100% lager malt, it's sort of like that crossover between ale and lager, and it just gives it that nice, refreshing, clean bite.
Very nice.
Very sessionable. Yeah.
So what's your favourite beer? Do you have one?
Favourite beer in this country? It's going to sound so contrived, but Abingdon Bridge is really, really nice. And I believe if you brew a beer, whenever I go out, I'll buy Abingdon Bridge because it's a way to ensure I get paid.
True.
Sort of. But
it's like a big circle.
Absolutely. But my favourite beer internationally is Rodenbach Grand Cru. And it's just, it's divine. It's, I got the privilege of meeting Rudy, the head brewer of Rodenbach, during a couple of years back in the Beer Writers Awards. And, a little bit starstruck actually, but no, that beer is just divine. Sort of like the slight sourness of the Flanders Red.
It's just tart as hell, isn't it?
I feel like I'm missing out.
You've not had it?
No.
Homework.
Yeah, brilliant.
It is marvellous.
Yeah, and the whole story around the brewery as well, and the people, and it's such a, it's the real, what's the word? Just that sort of Flemish red style. It's kind of the iconic example of that particular style, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So do you have a favourite food that you'd pair with it?
Well, I don't think I'd sully Rodenbach Grand Cru with food or anything like that. You know, it's
do you have a favourite beer and food pairing?
Well, I mean, this is going to sound awful. Yeah, I like beer and I like food. So it's, I do like sort of recoil with sometimes we have when we have events on our tap room, we have the pizza guys turn up, White Horse Box Pizza and Fat Tabby, and having a pizza there with a recoil. That's quite nice. But that's only really in the springtime because it's our seasonal. Yeah. Either that or, any sort of light beers like our 676 lager. That's just 4%, quite just refreshing. I wouldn't say it's not interesting, but it's not challenging.
Yeah. Anything you'd have with a roast dinner, possibly?
Anything with a roast dinner? Well, Abingdon Bridge is always good with any sort of substantial food like that. But I do like our porter with the cheese sort of course, and or a Belgian triple with the cheese, and it just sort of just lightens it up. And also, with our Belgian triple, it's 8.4%, so You drink that like you do a port, really.
It's a very, very good beer.
Thank you very much.
So do you have a favourite beer destination?
Beer destination? Well, I did go to Prague last year for 3 days. That was fun.
Yeah,
but,
what did you get up to? I'm sure there's some stories.
You said you'd edit some of these out. No, we just went sort of like just sightseeing the other half, and a couple of friends of ours sightseeing around Prague. Never been there before, but that was good. I brewed for about 10 years in New Zealand as well before coming back to the UK, and I was at Moa and Renaissance. They're both little breweries in Blenheim, top of the South Island, and you're surrounded by all the vineyards and everything. And it's fair to say that the usual beers you get in New Zealand are a little bit stronger than here. You go to a pub, you get 4 or 5%. In the UK, you go to New Zealand, it's 6.5%, 7% is the usual offerings.
Really, starting point.
Starting points, but New Zealand's very interesting for like the new styles or their take on what the Americans are doing. I remember Garage Project releasing their take on a New England IPA. And it was for, believe it or not, it was for this challenge held by the Malt House pub in Wellington called the West Coast IPA Challenge. So they decided, we'll do an East Coast IPA for that. And we all looked at it when we were judging it, and it's like, they made a mistake. They've sent the ferment sample. This is cloudy. I've not seen anything like that before. I
think everyone should try and get out to somewhere like Wellington and look at the scene there. It's the pilsners that have been made with these fantastic hops that have been used out there. It's really something to behold.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you have a favourite pub in the world?
Favourite pub? Do actually like our tap room here.
Yes,
but we used to live in a little village before I went to New Zealand. A little village called Southstate with a perch and pike, and that was interesting. But that was when I was, just finished university, and went back home and looking for a job, and But, I mean, we're a bit spoiled around this area for good pubs.
Yeah.
So we've got the King and Queen in Longcott. Our main sort of delivery area is about 20-mile radius, and we went out. In fact, one of our lead brewers left to go and work in New Zealand recently. Rob Orman, he flew out there last week. Well, actually, no, he flew out on Tuesday. I'm saying. So we went out on a leaving do for him around Abingdon, and we visited a load of pubs there, and you had the Nag's Head just on the start of Abingdon Bridge, and it was it was a thoroughly enjoyable night.
Lots of good cask beer, well looked after.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So next question: what is one item in the brewery that you couldn't live without?
Fun.
Oh, nice. That's brilliant.
That's a great answer.
Because we are in the entertainment industry. People tend to go out and have a beer to have a good time. If they're feeling sorry for themselves and things like that, they tend to drink beer. You drink beer to, socialise and things like that. So that should really percolate all the way through the process. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you get many events here happening?
Lots of events.
Yeah.
Lots of events. We have live music. We have comedy nights. In fact, the first time we ran a comedy night in the tap room, there's this chap who organises all the different comedians, and they all came into Abingdon. You had everybody local had turned up. I'm not sure they'd actually seen these style of comedians before, and it was all a bit edgy, but they loved it, and it's a sellout every time.
How often do you do those?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to say once a month, but I'm not sure it's that frequent.
Sure, yeah.
But we do. We have monthly quizzes here as well, and we've got a chap who used to work for us. He's like the quiz master. And now I'm thinking, I watched Gavin and Stacey last night. Smithy doing the quiz mastering part. He's not like that, but so he sets the questions. It's all played on the computer screen there, and people have a good time. There's prizes of beer, beery related prizes, funnily enough.
It's great community know it's here, and they use the space, and it's part. The brewery really is part of the.
Well, that's one thing that we've tried to do is, even though we have these events, or we've got ticketed events, but we do like people just coming in and using the facility, because more often than not, we get local people coming in, walking in astonishment as they walk through the doors, going, I didn't even know you were here. And Abingdon, it's not a huge town.
Yeah.
But it's the main trick is getting your name out there and making sure that people know exactly where you are. And we come on leaps and bounds in making that sort of public, if you know what I mean, raising the profile.
A lot of it's word of mouth, isn't it? So you have, even one event a month, and you get 30, only 30 people in a room, and then that's 30 people that will then tell another 30 people, and then soon sort of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was, so we had a charity retro rewind evening last year, and that was a great success. I think it was couple of weeks after that, they booked for this year as well. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, 80s music is great.
It's great.
That was actually leading me on to the next question, because I was going to say, what is your favourite music to play in the brewery?
Well, that depends on what we're brewing. So last year and this year, we do a new beer every month. And last year, this year, it's been a parody on song titles. So we've got February's monthly is I Love Hop and Roll.
Very good.
March's is A Hard Day's Night. January's was Shiny Hoppy People. We did a couple of special releases last year. Now these are, our monthly beers tend to be sort of like between 3.4% ABV and, even going up to 5% ABV. And because we're catering for, we know our audience around Abingdon, so we know what they'll like, what they won't like. And at the end of the day, we've got to brew 25 barrels of this monthly, all apart from January. We only do a 15 barrel in January. But we've got to sell it. It's got to be, it's got to fit in with their criteria of what they like.
Yeah.
Last year we did 3 brews where, okay, we know what you like. This is what you should try. And one of them was Run to the Mills. 7% Baltic Porter infused with cherry concentrate and cacao nibs. I wanted it to be like drinking a liquefied sort of Black Forest Gateau.
That sounds amazing.
And they loved it. But while we were doing that, Iron Maiden was playing, because apparently they released a song called Run to the Hills, which is uncannily like the name of the beer that we chose.
Yeah.
Still, it's funny that.
Yeah.
Previous to that, it was film titles, parodies on film titles. And it was all going great. We had Citizen Grain, things like that.
So if you weren't in the brewing industry, what would you be doing? What did you do at uni?
Officially? Apart from muck around.
Yeah.
I actually did geology and micropaleontology.
Wow.
So, yes, I'm a geologist by degree levels things. And the reason why I got into geology was this little village I grew up in, South Stoke. It had the chief executive of BP living there, sort of at Horton. And he sort of said to me, you should go into geology, lots and lots of money in oil and things like that. And then during my course and everything, they decided to streamline BP, and that was that. It was like, okay. So first job out of university, proper job, was a rat catcher.
Wow.
But during sort of summer breaks and things like that, there was a maltings in Wallingford, Paul's Malt. It used to be the ABM in Wallingford. And I used to work there, looking after the germination boxes and monitoring the germination of the grain going through. And that was where I picked up quite a bit of knowledge on malting barley and the processes of malting. And the process there was saladin boxes, just great big boxes of barley would be put in there to germinate, and learned quite a bit about that. I've always been a big advocate of getting people to understand what they're actually doing, the processes. So I've mentored quite a few people doing, used to be called the foundation, then moved on to the general certificate. So sort of mentor people doing that, and also doing the diploma as well, because it's a very handy tool to have. If you know the science behind it, you know what's going on, you know the reasons why you're doing things, therefore people are less likely to take shortcuts. The other bonus part is if things go wrong, you kind of know how to analyse it and say, yeah, we can fix this now, or, okay, we'll rip it up and start again. It's that's the musical reference there. Because, a lot of people just throw good money after bad, and that hurts.
Absolutely.
Do you have a brewing inspiration, a person or anything that really inspired you?
I suppose in my younger days, I was fascinated with my dad drinking McEwen's Export. He thought he was the best pint of beer in the world. And he used to go to the local pub, which didn't sell McEwen's Export. He'd have his pint of Breaks beers, and he would say, oh, yeah, that's a good pint. And I could never figure out, because it all looked the same to me. It was like this, that, and the other. And in my early drinking days, it was all Foster's Lager and everything, and that was all pretty much the same. And then moved, their taste buds change, get onto cask, and then you could sort of like figure it out. And you think, I still brew sort of like, I wonder if the old man would like this, don't know. But professionally, inspirations, I suppose, there was John Rouse, who is the guy that gave me the job at Scotch Courage. And he was he's a fun guy, and sort of got me interested in sort of like trying to learn more about brewing. Then there's a guy called Mike Unsworth, who was the sort of like the brewing department head at there, and I was trying to figure out, he was a young guy, and he got really high up in that company. What drove him? And I suppose it wasn't only his brewing knowledge, it was his business knowledge as well. And that was because you can't separate the two. You got to keep one in mind with the other. Over in New Zealand, the head brewer at Moa, David Nichols, is, I suppose, particular is a very good descriptor of him. But he wanted things done a certain way, and it was his way. And a lot of people thought, no, that's too restrictive. But I did admire that, because he had his standard and everybody worked to that. So I suppose it's been sort of like cocktail of all those different inspirations.
Yeah.
I always think that, if you imagine yourself as a pinball, and all the people that you come in contact with, you bounce off, and you take a little bit of them with you and
100%.
Use that. Fortunately, it's been the good people I bumped into, and not the nasty ones. So
try and ignore those. Stay away from them.
Absolutely.
What's your favourite beer festival? Have you been to many?
Favourite beer festival, Bunkfest in Wallingford. Mainly because I went to school in Wallingford, grew up around that area, and it started off as a folk music festival in the back of the Cross Keys pub in Wallingford, and then it just grew and grew and grew, and now it takes on this massive field in the middle of Wallingford called the Kinecroft Saxon Battleground, if you're interested.
Okay.
Is that in summer?
Yes, sort of the end of summer, sort of like last bit of August, the first bit of September. And now that's grown to huge scale, and they have it's 3 days, several stages. One sort of like really big main music stage there. The beer tent's vast. In fact, they've got two. They've got the main beer tent and then the VIP tent right by the stage. But the ourselves and Loddens co-sponsor that on the beer front, and we buy in beers from all the local breweries as well to showcase them, and it's it's a great festival.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that sounds like a great.
Especially at the end of the summer as well. Everyone's hopefully had a nice long summer, and it kind of sees you into the harvest period and the
absolutely
and the autumn nights and things. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, and it was obviously it got cancelled during the pandemic, but the year the first one after that, you could feel the vibe. You could cut the vibe of the night. It was just buzzing,
rejoicing. Yeah, and,
Fuggles or Golding?
Oh. We use Fuggles more.
In what sort of beers? Style-wise, your best bitters or pales?
No, it's all like been. Well, actually, no. I used them. The last time I used them was for one of the monthlies last year, and it showcased just used all British hops. And actually, that one came out really, really popular. Can't remember the name of it though. Check my TikTok channel. But we used to use Fuggles a lot in as the bittering hop,
right?
For Abingdon Bridge. That was. I don't think that was the best way to use Fuggles because the alpha acid's quite low on there. Use quite a lot of it. So I tend to use Fuggles and Goldings, when I'm using aroma, things like that. And I want that sort of Englishness coming through. So we use it in robust porter, but again, not to any huge amounts because porters aren't inherently a hoppy beer.
Yeah,
but now I must start using more.
So what's next for you in the brewing industry?
Probably retirement. I don't know. I'm going to.
That's a hard question.
Yeah, that is. To be fair, you've sort of answered it as we've gone along, like with all the new exciting things that are coming.
Well, we've got Ross, who's our new lead brewer after Rob left us.
Oh, lovely.
So he's
he started, has he?
He started with us a couple of years ago. Mentored him through I mentored him through the general certificate. He mainly done it under himself. Very little input from me, but he's doing the diploma now. So making sure that he gets through that. And we've got Gav. He's sitting the general certificate. So he used to be the head brewer at White Horse Brewery. And he said it before, but he didn't have anybody there to sort of like answer his questions, but also pose questions and challenge. Because, as I explained to both Gav and Ross, I could just sit here and tell you what happens, how it works. But what's the point in that? So sometimes it'll be like, okay, we're... for example, last beer that I brewed, Hard Day's Night, it's got quite a high content of lager malt in there. So therefore, the boil for that is 90 minutes. So it's like, okay. So I told them the malt ratios, how long they're going to boil it for. Said 90 minutes because they wouldn't. They knew it was going to be 90 minutes if I'd asked that question. Why? And that's why don't know. Now, both of them have read that sort of that part during their study because the exams are looming.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like posing these questions and making them apply that knowledge. That's the key thing.
Great. How do you come up with new recipes for all your new limited edition beers?
I'm given at the start of the year. Well, so about November, November time, I'm given a list saying this is the ABV, this is sort of like what we want it to look like. So you kind of got the colour, and you've got the ABV, and they might give you a style. So the first thing I do is go on the old internet, look at the beer judges certification program, and they're the guidelines. So it's got to be round about there, so you can build up what sort of characteristics you want from there. That way you can choose the malt, which malt you need to get for the alcohol and the colour, with constraints to the size of your brew house. And then with the hops, it's I tend to go on the Faram webpage. You used to have that lovely paper brochure.
I've still got some somewhere.
I love one because we did a brew day for somebody who won it in an auction, and I gave him that dog-eared copy. And he goes, this has obviously been used and well loved, and like an old teddy bear. But I sort of like look through there, and I find that the descriptors on there are very, very helpful, because although you're never going to agree with all of them 100%, but you can kind of see where those hops are going to go. Another one is the two superstars that just come over from New Zealand. So
Superdelic and Nectaron.
Superdelic and Nectaron. Yeah. So it's Nectaron's being. That's fantastic. Nectaron is good. And I'm probably being a bit silly because it's so good. I don't want to use it. I want to keep it.
Don't overdo it.
Well, that was the last question I've got. Is there anything that you wanted to add, Jon?
No, just thanks for allowing us to interview you, and for being such a great customer over the years. And it's always a pleasure to visit. And
I'm only a good customer because you guys are a great supplier. I ordered those hops for the brew. And it was like, when are they coming? When are they coming? I was getting a little bit nervous. I was already working out substitutions 40 seconds before the end of boil. Parcel first turned up with it. It's like, yeah, I'll do.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you very much. Yes,
pleasure.
It's great.